So instead of CSS or Sass or any of that stuff, I am using JSS. Now, why am I using JSS? Because I think it's cool. So this is the most important thing. This maybe even be its own video. So cut. All right, start. JSS. What is it? Write your styles in the same file or in any JavaScript file that you want, which comes in really handy, I think, because I can work in the same file. So I can have this descriptor set proto file, and I could be up here, let's see, right here, just messing with stuff, right? Or let's go even higher. Let's say I'm way up here. Let's say it's all unfolded. Let's see, expand. Very cool. Let's say I'm way up here, and I have my stylings way down here, which I'll go over these in a sec. And so instead of having to go back and forth, blah, blah, I just split it open, and now I can work on my styles, and I can work on my JavaScript in the same file, which is really cool. So how does it work? Okay, so let's go back to minimizing this. So important thing, import with styles. So what you're going to do is you're going to wrap your component with styles. It's really cool, JSS. It allows you very easily server render your styles, which is nice, but it does a lot more for you than that, which is why I use it. So I'll go over the benefits kind of like slowly. So you see this theme here. I'll go over that in a bit, but what we do, the basic thing is this function passes this component a classes object. Okay, very important. So every component that is wrapped with styles will receive a classes component. What it does is it takes your styles, so I can define the descriptor root, okay? And then I could write kind of your JavaScript CSS, the display flex, blah, 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 you know, margin 5, you know, you gotta look up JSS to find out kind of how the syntax works. That's not the hard part. Let's get rid of all that, okay? And then what I would do here is that I can create this is arbitrary, that I can name these whatever I want. So let's see here, we go to descriptor, let's see here, okay? And so for your class name, instead of putting a string, your own string, you would put classes, because that's the object, remember, that is passed down from here, classes, dot descriptor root, okay? And then that's all you gotta know is this. If I wanted this div to have these styles, I'd put classes.input base, right? And you can do a lot of cool stuff, extending, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, you're gonna have to go over the JSS docs to know everything you can do, but that's the gist of it. Write your styles in this styles object. You can go over theming, which we can go over later, to use themes, and that's kind of it, really. You just write your styles here, pass the classes object, and then it's all together. Now, why do I think it's cool? And of course, you can probably do this with many other things. I think it's cool because of this. So let's go to record template. Okay. So remember that I said that record template uses the descriptor set proto. So see this right here? This is that right there. We're just kind of hauling it in. Hopefully I'm doing it here. I don't think I am actually. I'm not. Okay, well this is a bad example. Okay, but I'll show you anyways. So let's say we didn't like my styles that I gave this, you know? I mean, they're pretty bland, right? You know, nothing crazy. Okay, what if I wanted a record template that has different styles for its descriptor set proto? So what we can do is I can still, let's say I have a blank project. Whoops. Okay. Let's say I have this blank project right here, and I want to import. Actually, I'm not going to do that. Okay. I guess I'll do it here. I think it'll make sense to do it here. Okay. So because I have this with styles from React.js, super sweet. Let's say I wanted to give this different classes. So I can create, like, let's say I can do constant descriptor set proto JSS equals with styles, then custom descriptor set proto styles. Okay, then pass it in pass it in that component, and what this will do is say we constant styles equals some fancy magic, okay? And then we go here. Let's go back to, oops, don't let me do that. Let's Control Z all that, get all these back. Okay, cool. So now I can look at the styles that I've already given this. So let's say I want to override input base. So I can do input base is equal to, let's say I want height to be 30 instead of 25. I want margin to be 0 instead of 10, 0, 13, 0, blah, blah. Okay? And now the point is I can now override, I can now override these styles or add to them by wrapping the component in another with styles. And then down here, instead of this descriptor set proto, I'd use the one I gave it. Boom. All right, cool. And now we don't need this because it should already have it, or blah, blah. But you get the point. Okay. Oops, my cursor, I must have clicked something for it to trip me out. Oh, I hit a hotkey that I didn't know what I hit. Okay. So it's just backspace. Okay. Which should be good. Okay. So that's that. The theme, let's see, if we go back to the stories right here, Protobuf, we see that all these stories are wrapped in a theme wrapper. Now what's the theme wrapper? The theme wrapper allows us to use this theme object. And all it is a theme provider. Let's see, we're using useTheme and theme provider from source.theme. So what we're doing is we're using a function called useTheme, which returns a theme, and then we're wrapping our components in a provider, which passes the theme down as context. I created this so you can kind of hack away at it. All this does is it uses the little theme generator thing I made, which you can pass in options to create and generate your own theme. It's pretty self-explanatory code if you just want to go to this theme generator. All it does is pretty much sets up a palette, breakpoint, spacing, blah, 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 and then you use this little React hook to create a theme using the theme generator, and then you use theme provider, which is really just imported from React.js somewhere in the imports, and then you wrap your app in it. So I'll show you back on that DDX example how I'm doing that. So if we go to pages, this is where all your source kind of stuff is. So you have pages, which is your index page, which you get at just slash, and then record, which is record/query txid. But if you go to app and document, this is Next.js, so you might want to read their docs. But right here is where we're using it. So see, theme, use theme. I want to use the light theme, passing in a theme provider, and then we're wrapping our whole app in a theme provider. So that way, when we want to do stuff like down here, build it. Oops, bad example. Also bad example. But you get the point. Like, so deep, no, you don't get the point. But now you will. Deep down in the tree, I can still use, even though I'm not using it here, I can still use it. I have access to theme right here, even though I only wrapped it at the very top of the app. Yeah, app's the very top of the app. And so now, any component I'm using will be able to get my theme object. And so here's more React.js. So see how all my styles are with the component, right? Server rendered styles for the most part. Just as something that I kind of found out today, actually, that I didn't know. When you do stuff like this, when you're using these operators, say I'm targeting H2 under modal head. So let's see, modal head right here. See this H2? That's what I'm trying to target right there. When I'm doing that, this modal head doesn't. So this publisher header, this H2, that style right here doesn't get server rendered. all of this gets server rendered, but when you're targeting another element outside of the scope, the direct scope, it'll take a second to paint. Just something if you run into it. Okay. That's kind of it for React JS. The biggest things are being able to create and pass a theme. So theme provider is from React JS. So let's see this theme generator. I'm trying to look for it real quick. Theme. Okay. Right here. So right here it is. So with styles and then theme provider as a deconstructed object, which you can use. So this is what you want to wrap your app in, and you want to pass it a theme object. You can easily get a theme object by using this hook called useTheme, which gives you back a theme, a function to change the theme, a function to update the theme, and the original generator, because why the hell not? So really simple code right there. Really simple code right here, even though it looks like a lot, it's not. It's just setting variables that you will use in your app. And then set it up as simple as something like this. Just wrap your app. It's literally, what, 4 lines? And your whole app is now themed, and you can use theme with your JSS, which is cool. You can also do nested themes, which I don't use in this app, but you may want to in the future. I use JSS for everything. You should maybe as well too, because all the components I wrote are in it. And it's got a decent size developer base. Okay, so that is it for React JSS and OIP React. All your components are here. You can kind of dig into them if you would like. The main ones I've been using were the Protobuf ones to create valid OIP5 records and record templates. And then the next section I will go into and get into the library that I use to take the user input that I get from these from these components, and how I actually convert it to valid Protobuf. So I'll just continue the video and do that right now actually. So let's do that. Remember, so I said field 1 and I add it. Okay, and you might have been like earlier, like, well, what the hell is this? Well, this is the file descriptor proto generated from this. So this is what would get combined with the name and description to create what is known as a valid record template. And how do we know what a valid record template is? Well, OIP Protobuf.js. Okay. So this library is probably going to be confusing to most, but let's kind of start out in the obvious spot. So source, go to source. Messages, OIP proto. These are our valid proto files. So when we're publishing a record template, we are creating a record template proto. You see here, friendly name, string description, descriptor set proto. What does it extend? What is its identifier? Notice the comment. Okay, so this is this, right? Friendly name, description. This creates your descriptor set proto right here. That's what this is. So remember, like, we build here, build the descriptor here. All right, build it there, combine it with the description and a friendly name, and then we create this protobuf message using protobuf.js lib. Protobuf.js right here. That's what we're using. Okay, so we can see all the proto message we have. So we start from the top. What we see in the blockchain, nope. Okay, I guess we'll see later in the blockchain. What we see in the blockchain is a signed message. So this is what we ultimately want to build, a signed message, because what it has a serialized message, which is a record template proto or a record. It can be anything. You can fill out this, what your pub key is, your signature, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really important. And then OIP5. Okay, so here we see record template proto, normalized record, blah, blah. You probably don't care about any of this, but I'm just kind of trying to show you the rabbit hole. So a signed message contains a serialized message, which I believe to be an OIP5 right here. So this will get serialized, put into assigned message. We can, and inside this contains a record template proto. So we'd want to build this, put it in an OIP5 record proto, and then put that into a assigned message. Well, you're like, I don't want to do that. Well, don't worry, I did. Okay, so here are your builders. So these should be, you shouldn't have to worry about almost any of this unless you find bugs, like you might. Okay, so right here we see a build descriptor. So this is what I'm using, this function, here. Okay, so I built this component to just take in data, and that data gets serialized, okay, into the format, into this format right here. If you want to go and read that, pause it or do whatever, and it builds a descriptor for you. Okay, so it's like if we go to my tests and go to my builders, and then we'll see build descriptor, we can see that here I can create an object or an array of values. So instead of typing, so name string age uint, okay, would be the same thing as doing name string age uint occupation string, right? So all this is doing is just taking in the data, formatting it, and then into this, okay? And then I can just put it into this function, and boom, I have the file descriptor. And then I could take that file descriptor, right? What do I want to do with that file descriptor? Well, let's say I forgot. I don't know what to do with the file descriptor. What am I trying to create? A record template, okay? So I want to put it into a record template, because that's where it goes, right here, along with a description and a friendly name. So let's see if I have any other tests. I may. Record template proto. Okay. So let's say I built the file descriptor. Okay. Now I want to build a record template, and all I gotta do is feed it in the friendly name and description, and put that together, and boom, it will. Let's see what it returns. It returns a template message, a base64, and a buffer version of the base64 version of the buffer, and the Protobuf message itself. You can check here for what parameters it takes. But so build record template, remember that record template takes in these. See that it extends. You can also add an extends right there. Boom, creates a record template. So you can use these builders, build the descriptor. If you want to build a record, this is what you need. Tags, payment details, permissions. Okay, so it's a record proto. Tags, payment details, permissions. Okay, what are details? OIP details. A repeated Protobuf any details. Okay, we're like, what is that? Don't worry about it. You can go here and just build OIP details and just give it stuff here. This is what you'd give it. This is what it takes in. Okay, an array or an array of objects, or just an object of this. It'll have name, payload, descriptor, type. You might have to do some digging to find out that, but I'm pretty sure I have test for all that. Like build OIP details, OIP. I guess not. Oh, right here, build OIP details, detail data. All right, so here's an example: descriptor, name, payload. And that's what we had over at here, right? Name, payload, descriptor, type. Okay. So you can use these, and then if you don't want to use individual ones, you can do the big ones. So there's a template builder and a record proto builder. So this will take in the most base information and take care of all of it for you. So remember, again, stress, stress, stress. Template builder takes in a friendly name, a description, and a file descriptor of the fields that you want this template to contain, whether it extends other templates or not, and then it needs your WIF, your private key, to publish, and which network to publish to. So it'll take that, it'll create a record template, and then it'll create an OIP5 proto file, and then it'll create a signed message. It'll sign the message and then create a signed message and return you that, which you can then use with, if you remember, our fancy wallet button. And you just feed So you'd build this, you get back the base 60 built-in message. You'd get back this base 64, and we just feed it into this message right here on the wallet button. Now we can publish that to the chain, and boom, everything works like magic. Okay. Let me see if I have anything else. So all of these functions in the builders, they're just helpers for you just to give in kind of most minimum data, and it'll take care and build the correct protobuf format for you. Every time you add a message, make sure to run compile, which will go here, and it will take all of these proto files and compile them into here, because these compiled modules are what we use to actually use the protobuf JavaScript to actually build messages in JavaScript. So like, if this doesn't make any sense, it probably won't as I go on. But just to show you, okay, so here are all of these messages in as JavaScript modules, which we can, or classes, which functions, which we can now use in the builders, like we do up here, and we can use those to create the correct message types